Hey, what's up, Stringlings? Today we're doing another Joyo pedal review. This time we're taking a look at the R-14 Atmosphere Reverb. Let's check it out. The R-14 Reverb is another of the Revolution series pedals from Joyo. And I've got to be honest, it's one that I have been dying to get my hands on. It's a multi-function reverb unit in a pedal, has all of the features that the Revolution series pedals have, the metal casing, the really cool chassis lights on the outside. This one is blue, it's bright blue. It's a stunning looking pedal. You can see it from the pictures. And it covers a lot of the functionality that you would expect in a reverb pedal. So what I've done today, just give you a quick little rundown in a minute, but what I've done today is I've actually run it into Reaper, but I'm using it in the effects loop on the preamp house. So we're using two Joyo pedals in tandem, but we're getting all of the amp and cabinet simulation from the R-15 preamp house, and we're using this in the effects loop, so it's not going to be doing weird things with the distortion. And what a lot of people do is they tend to put all of their pedals in front of their amp, and then they have the amp rotted out for distortion. You get a lot of noise because it distorts all of the tails of the reverb. That's those echo things that happen on the other end. It's not a great way to kind of build sound, right? What you want is you want the distorted sound echoing. You don't want to echo the distortion. Does that make sense? Sorry, let me back that up. I'm confusing myself now. You want to echo or reverberate the distortion sound as if you're in a large space playing out of an amplifier. What you don't want to do is you don't want to distort the reverb because it just becomes noisy. There may be occasions when you want to do that. For most of us, that doesn't come up very often in regular playing. It's a special effect. I wouldn't do it just as a matter of like regular sound design. So quick rundown on the pedal itself. It has 9 reverb functions. It's got a plate, a spring, a church, Eko-Verb, Shimmer, Comet, Rewind, Forest, and Pulse. That sounds like a lot of different functions, and in fact it is. One of the cool things about this one is you can use it for different effects. You can't use them simultaneously. It's not programmable, but if you get a sound that you are really into, you can use that to really kind of color things quite a bit. Just to give you the description as it is on the site here. It says, apart from the traditional mix and decay, which are these two, so the mix is like your wet-dry signal, is your signal mix, and your decay is how long it echoes. All right. In addition to that, it also includes a tone adjustment and modulation effects depth. Right. So the mod control controls how deep some of these tones are. So when you're down in this range, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The pulse, for example, is a tremolo, so this mod control will actually affect it by dealing with how wide that tremolo is. The I think it's Forest has like a chorus effect. It's very mild, very slight, but it's audible, and you'll be able to hear it in the demo. So the mod actually affects that. The tone deals with not so much the tone of your instrument. So usually when you see a tone knob on a pedal, it modulates the high and low frequencies of the instrument going into the signal chain. What the tone does on here is it actually modulates the high and low signals of the reverb itself. So when you imagine a reverb as like the sound escaping the instrument and bouncing off a surface and reverberating, that reverberation is also going to have high and low frequencies. The tone modifies which of those you're kind of listening to. So that's more or less how it functions. This little switch on the bottom here is for trails. Now, what this does is it lets you set whether the trail continues when you switch the pedal off. Okay, so right now I have it switched to on. So that means when I'm using the reverb, you'll get trails, the reverb effect. When you switch it off, the reverb effect continues for whatever you just played, but not what you play after that. When you switch this off, it cuts the trail off completely right at that point, and I'll show you how that works in a minute as well. So we're going to do a couple of different tones, just 2 different tones. And I'm using my my custom Barnburst Strat style guitar. This is the one with the Fishman Fluence single coil pickups. It's going to give us a fairly clean tone, so anything that you hear is just going to be distortion noise, not guitar interference, because these are active pickups. So we're getting a very clear and very balanced sound across the instrument. That's going into the preamp house. I'm using, for my clean tones, I'm using the Fender 65 Twin Reverb, and for my overdrive tones, for my lead tones, I'm going to be using their EVH 5150 as kind of a lead sound. So you'll get that, two different applications of where you would use a reverb. You don't use a lot of reverb doing heavy rhythm parts, just because it gets mushy, things get a little bit tangled up. But you use it to kind of broaden the tonal spectrum of your lead parts and to give your clean sounds a little bit more of an ethereal space, and that's why it's called an atmosphere. So let's key this up and get started. Okay, heading back over to the desktop, and now I can hear everything. This is my clean tone just through the preamp house. So to give you an idea of what's happening here, I'm using the Fishman Fluence. It's going into Reaper, and I have my push-pull pot pulled out, because this is what's going to give me my slightly higher boosted signal. It's like an overwound Texas Special type single coil. If I had it here, it'd be like more vintage sound. I'm just leaving it here so that we've got a balance between the lead and clean tones, across the tonal spectrum. We're not changing too many things, okay? So that's on the bridge pickup and the neck pickup. Okay, so I'm starting with the first reverb position here, which I believe, I'm not looking at it directly, it's over here on the side of my desk. Yeah, it's a plate reverb. So that's a fairly traditional sounding reverb. And one more time, the clean tone. If we just add this, I've got the mix right up the middle, and I have the decay level at the middle, and this is what we get. So you can hear with that plate, it has a tiny bit of modulation to it. Okay, if I turn the mod all the way up, that little bit of kind of crystalline sound is very typical of a very thick plate reverb. So the plate reverb is typically where you would get something, if I'm going to turn the mix down a little bit. Okay. The next one in line is a church reverb, and these are typically much wetter sounding reverbs. Watch. Okay, compared to the first one. Oops. Here's the plate. Here's the church. Okay, much wetter, broader sounding. Now, if I turn the tone up, you'll hear, I'm going to just turn the mix up just a little bit more and a little bit more decay. If I turn the tone up a little bit, you'll hear much higher frequency. If I turn it down, so can you hear the difference? The reverberation is what's being affected by the tone control. Here it is in the middle. Here it is turned all the way up. See, a lot more sparkle on the top end. If I turn it all the way down, it'll be a little bit deeper sound. Right? So you can use this to shape a lot of your tone. I like it sort of right in the middle for most applications, but I'm going to show you what the difference is. Right now I have my trail turned on, so listen. So it carries on after that. But if I turn this off, listen. It just kills the reverb completely. That's what that switch is for. I like to have the little bit of echo. I think it blends into the next line a little better, but play with it, see what you think. Okay, I'm going to move on to the spring reverb. Again, a little bit more traditional sounding reverb. Go over to the bridge pickup. And it kind of like springy sound. It's like you would get in a reverb tank on a combo amp, right? We change that decay. Hear that? That's so typical of a spring reverb. It's a really great digital version of a spring reverb. So cool. I love the sound of this thing. The Echoverb combines a tiny bit of delay. You can see that it's pulsing right now. That pulse is giving us kind of the tap tempo of that echo. So it combines a delay by giving you a little bit of a bounce back. I'm going to put it right down the middle again so we have a nice clear picture of what that sounds like. Turn that up. Okay, so the mod control extends the depth of that echo. One little caution with this pedal though is if you turn the mix up too high, you'll get mostly the ethereal back sound of it. Very cool effect, but maybe not the most useful for most applications. Turn the tone up and see what we get. Actually, I'm going to go flip this around. Very cool. One of my favorites though is right here, the Shimmer. The Shimmer gives you a little bit of a vocal quality stacked on top of your reverb effect. It's a very, very cool sound. Let's see. Get a little spring on top. If we just turn up the modulation here a bit. It's almost like singers echoing what you're doing, right? And again, the tone affects it. Turn it all the way up. Such a cool effect. I use it all the time in plugins. I'm so happy that I have it on a pedal now because I can carry that onto the stage. The next one down the line is called Comet, and the Comet has a little bit of a flanger, so I'm actually going to leave this turned all the way up. I'm going to turn the mix up a little bit and then see if we can hear that flanger in effect here. Oh yeah, it's there for sure, right? It's there for sure. We're going to slow, maybe speed it up just a tiny bit. Such a cool effect. So it's got some modulation built in if you want to kind of combine these sounds as part of your regular sound. I love the fact that these are already paired up. Rewind is what they call a reverse reverb. So we'll hear it and then we'll hear it kind of play backwards, right? Make that a little deeper. So it's almost like the reverb. Sorry, it's almost like the reverb is reversing the tone that you're playing. Forest, I understand, has a touch of a chorus added. It's right here. Some really cool sound. Very cool. And finally, pulse, which has, you can see it flashing, more like a tremolo effect. Sort of a rotating Leslie kind of effect. I'm going to dial back now. I'm going to go to the church reverb, which I think is going to give us the best effect when we go to the leads. Now, again, this is a sampling of an EVH 5150 Mark III, so it's quite. Oops, flip down the bridge pickup. So it's got quite a bit of gain to it. Okay, when we deal with the adding some reverb, you don't want to have too much reverb because you don't want it to muddle up your sound too much. But this is why we put this into the loop instead of in front of the preamp. What this preamp house does is it gives you the preamp and then a loop and then the cabinet. So this effect is taking the sound that's coming out of the preamp and processing it before it goes to the power amp section or to the cabinet. If we put it in front of the distortion, it would be ahead of that. In a future video, I'm going to lay out how to do this pedal order so that you're not distorting your echoes, right? You want to echo your distortion. That's kind of a rule of thumb. So if we just take a regular plate reverb, here's my, and just give it a little bit of body. So that's where we get that kind of huge stadium sound. Oops. Kind of huge stadium sound. I'm going to turn the modulation down and the tone a little bit lower, and take my tails down, my decay. That just gives it so much more depth, right? When we're looking at things like special effects like the shimmer effect, it's less effective, I think. Right? You barely even hear it. It just sounds really crackly and noisy. But the Comet, on the other hand, remember it had that flanger to it? That sounds cool. That sounds really cool. Okay, turn that up in the mix a little bit. That's awesome. It's got really good flanger effect. You can set this tempo, right? So, very slow flange and a little bit faster, right? That is super cool. And the same thing down here at Forest, which again, Forest is like reverb plus chorus, right? If we take the mix down, we still get a tiny bit of that chorus with a little bit less reverb. So, I mean, you kind of have to play with it, find a sweet spot for your tones. Again, I personally, I'll take this on stage. I may put a delay in front of it, and in fact, I also have the delay to go with it, so that's going to be another video coming up. But there are lots of options here that you can use to get really nice, thick, rich kind of sounding reverb sounds. So I'm just going to play it out because I really love this pedal. I just love it so much. So that is the Joyo R-14 Atmosphere reverb pedal. It's 9 reverbs plus some modulation plus some really cool extra effects, and honestly, if you are running anything that requires a reverb on stage or any of these special effects, you've got to get your hands on this pedal. It looks cool, it sounds even cooler. When you pair it up with the preamp house, you're ready to hit the stage. It's just such a great combination. You really can't go wrong with it, and I do hope you go over to joyoaudio.com or hit my Amazon links below, which are affiliate links, but you're free to choose whether you use those or not. But in the meantime, if you would like to see more of this kind of content, by all means, like and subscribe under this video, and please consider joining as a member of the channel. As a member of the channel, you get a certain number of pretty cool perks, which I'll let you check out for yourself down in the description. Yeah, we'll look forward to maybe plugging in a delay in front of this guy and seeing what kind of really cool things we can make happen with these tones. So that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day.